Friday. And the guys are live from Wright Toyota. Right on the corner, right on the price. Wright Toyota, located at 77th Street and Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard in Scottsdale. Now back to the guys on ESPN 620.
2nd and 10. Warner has to go.
Fitzgerald into Steeler territory. 30, 20, 10. Arizona has the lead.
Oh, Super Bowl. I heard that one. Where we pull that one out of? Kurt Warner now joins us here on Roc Manuch with GVB. What was that call, Kurt, to Fitz in that Super Bowl?
So we called plays based on half-field concepts. So that was a under concept to his side. So he had a little 5-yard under. Anquan Bolden was over the top, and he normally had like a 12 to 14-yard in. But if we're having man coverage played against us, he had the ability to break it out instead of in. So Pittsburgh was actually running a 2-man coverage, so man underneath, a safety up over the top. So Anquan actually took his defender outside. The safety actually went outside with Anquan on the deeper route. So when Larry caught that quick under, that's why there was nobody in the middle of the field as he was able to split the defense and score the touchdown.
So, Kurt, this is Rock. I obviously didn't play in the NFL like Manuch. So how would you dumb it down? Just a slant or a 10-yard button hook? Or
we would just say just a 5-yard in route. So just pushing up to 5 yards and running in. Anquan was pushing up to 12 yards and running out. And that's what it looked like, yes.
All right, good. That's perfect.
Kurt, we always good to catch up with you, bud. We talk about the preseason, and you look at Super Bowls, and Rock and I were up there watching you guys. The Super Bowl, you're up there in Flagstaff and watching it, and watching you guys practice. And then the other 2 Super Bowls, two with the St. Louis Rams. Does it start in preseason, Kurt? Did you have a pretty good feel, or was there something about that team, whether it's the Cardinals or the 2 St. Louis Ram team, that you could kind of feel something special coming on, or did it just evolve as the season went on?
Yeah, I think every team is different. My first team in '99, we were 4-12 the year before, and although we had added some talent, and thought we could be a decent team, I don't think we really knew until probably after week 4, where we had played the 49ers and they had beaten us 17 straight times. And so we kind of knew that was a marker for us. Like, if we were going to be good, we had to win our division. We had to beat the 49ers. And we beat them pretty handedly after, in that game in week 4. And I think that's when that team kind of turned the corner and said, okay, maybe we have something special. And then, going back to the Super Bowl 2 years later in 2001, we went into the season going, we're supposed to win the Super Bowl. Like, that team was built. We were really good. We were the greatest show on turf. We expected to win. And then you could come to the Cardinals and, I don't know if we really, felt we were a Super Bowl team until we got to the Super Bowl. The team that was good. We felt like we could make a push. We could win our division. We could get the playoffs. But there was a run there late in the season. I think 4 of our last 6 games, we played 4, playoff teams in those 6 games. And every one of them destroyed us. Like, everyone, it was a 21-point margin, the games that we lost. New England blew us out. Minnesota, beat us. I think the Giants, we maybe had played the Giants there too. And so, although we knew we were in the playoffs, we were getting beat, really badly by these playoff teams. And so, we kind of shifted it the last couple games of the season and felt like we were, moving in the right direction. But I don't think we really knew how good we could be or if we could really make a run. It was kind of game by game. You beat Atlanta and you're like, okay, all right, we got one. And then we're going down to Carolina, and we had played them earlier in the year. And so I think we were confident in that one. And obviously we blew them out. And the confidence just started to build, week after week after week. And, playoffs is just about giving yourself a chance, right? Being able to advance to the next week and then playing for 60 minutes, because anybody can win in a 60-minute game. But yeah, that team was completely different because we had ups and downs, times where we were good, times where we were bad. And I don't think we were ever really convinced how good we could be until we were in those moments and we rose to the challenge.
And I guess my question is because a lot of fans seem to poo-poo the preseason, whereas as a player, former player myself, it's like, no, guys are focused. It's just a matter of how they're focused. So when you look at preseason nowadays and you cover so many of these teams, is there a difference when you go cover the Chiefs? Is there a difference when you go cover the Eagles? Is there a difference when you cover those successful teams, at least in your eyes, Kurt?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a difference. I think just going in with a level of confidence, like the Chiefs team, they expect to be in the Super Bowl. And so the way they approach training camp is completely different. It's really what training camp should be, is like, this is preparation time. This is time for us to kind of see our different guys and figure out what we're good at this year. Because we know we're going to be good. We know we're going to win games. We know we're going to compete. Now it's really a feeling out period, or a growing period off of maybe you had some young guys the year before. Now it's taking that next step. And then there's other teams that go to training camp and their focus is solely, hey, we weren't very good last year. This is where we have to improve. And so you're focusing on a specific area or a specific thing that you have to do, or a certain position. And so a lot of it is different, depending on, who the team is and where they're at. And do you have a new coaching staff, and all those different things is what training camp is all about. But obviously you want to be a team like the Chiefs. You want to be a team like the Eagles that expect to be playing for a championship. And now training camp has its, the true essence of what training camp is it's training. It's practicing to get better at your craft, so you can be as good as possible when the season starts. You may not have as many chinks in your armor that you've got to clean up. It truly is just preparation. And as crazy as it sounds, because you never really have, you never really want to go into the season going, oh, we expect to already be in the playoffs. But there are teams that are playing and expecting to be in the playoffs. And they'll even use the beginning part of the season to feel out, who they're going to be and what they're going to become throughout the year, that it doesn't have to feel like a finished product right off the bat. I think Tom Brady and the Patriots were always notorious for this, is that they would always seem to start slow as they were trying to figure out who are their pieces and what were they going to be this year and what were going to be the key components to this team's run. But they always got to, week 8, week 9, week 10, and all of a sudden they were just rounding into form and playing their best football going into the playoffs. So, training camp can be a different, you can have a different perspective and different goals in training camp depending on what type of team you are going in.
He's Kurt Warner here on ESPN Radio Phoenix. Kurt, congratulations, first of all. Another job as the league analyst for the first ever YouTube live stream, which – have you been to Brazil before? Chiefs, Chargers.
I've never been to Brazil. This will be my first time, and unfortunately, nice. I won't get to stay long. We got a kickoff show on the NFL Network on Tuesday. Then I fly in. I'm there for just a couple days. The game is on Friday, and then I'm right back because I got to do our show again on Sunday. So I won't get to experience a whole lot of it, but I'm excited to obviously represent YouTube and the league in this way. And obviously, these are special moments when you get to introduce our game to a new set of fans. It's going to be an incredible game with the Chiefs and the Chargers and all that's riding on that matchup. So I'm extremely excited about the opportunity and looking forward to at least seeing whatever I can of Brazil in the couple days that I'm there.
You got a heck of a game. The Chiefs and the Chargers got two outstanding quarterbacks, two outstanding teams, year 2 of Jim Harbaugh. And when you look at Justin Herbert under this new regime, it seems like they've taken some of those things off his plate with their running game. But where do you see the growth of a Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh on the Chargers? Is it going to be ground and pound and try to get there, because they fell short last year of where they're expected to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how, Coach Harbaugh wants to play and coach. He wants to play good defense. He wants to run the football. He wants the throwing piece to be a complementary piece. But that's a hard thing to say when you've got Justin Herbert and go, hey, we're just going to make you a complementary piece.
Right.
A guy that set all kinds of records and has incredible talent. So I could see there being an uptick there. But I do think a lot of it will depend on personnel. Who do they get on the outside? Because that was kind of, I guess a lot of people looked at that as maybe a weakness last year was, their weapons on the outside. And maybe it was hard to throw the football because of that. But, Lamb McConkey had a great first year. They're going to look for him to grow. Brought in a couple guys in the offseason, tight end. Keenan Allen, I believe, is back. So I think they're probably in this period right now in training camp going, okay, what are we in the passing game? Can we depend a little bit more on the passing game and Justin Herbert, even though I don't think they want to? I think Jim Harbaugh wants to play the style that he's always played. And I think they want to be able to win in those areas and then know that they always have an ace in their pocket with Justin Herbert, that if they have to go swing for swing and they have to throw it and they have to score 35 points, they're going to feel ultra confident that they can do that with Justin Herbert. I just think they've got to develop their offense a little bit more to get more big plays. I felt like last year they struggled to get the big plays. And that is often such a difference maker in the NFL, is that you've got to take 10 and 12 play drives every time to score touchdowns. That's really hard to do. No matter how good a team you are, it's really hard to do. So they've got to be able to find a way to introduce, I think, more big plays into their offense.
Hey, last question for you. You've worked with a lot of quarterbacks, and one in particular that I've worked with for a while. Getting them ready for the National Football League. Tyler Shuck has a chance to start as a rookie. Cam Ward looks like he's going to start as a rookie. Then you looked at Jaden Daniels last year for the Commanders. He did start as a rookie. He was very successful. What advice do you have for a Tyler Shuck or Cam Ward? And what were some of the things that they could learn from watching what Jaden Daniels did in his first year with the Commanders?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when you're a young guy is you have to go in saying, just play the game. Play the game that's in front of you. Allow the defense to dictate what you do with the football. Is oftentimes you get young guys that are trying to do too much and trying to carry too much of the load and trying to make the big throw all of the time. Just play the game. And I thought that's what Jaden Daniel did so well last year, was he played the game. And there were times that he didn't see it. And instead of trying to force it in there, he pulled it down and he settled for a 3-yard run, or he threw the ball away. And he made a lot of big plays, don't get me wrong, but he played the game and he allowed the game to come to him. And that was what was so impressive. You didn't see him making a lot of bad decisions and trying to jam the football into tough situations. He played the game, and if he had to live to throw it away or to punt or whatever that was, he did that. And I think that's a hard thing for young guys to do, because they're always trying to prove something. Prove why I was the number 1 overall pick, or Tyler going, hey, let me prove, why I belong to be the starter here in New Orleans. And when you do that, oftentimes you press, you try to jam throws in there, or you're trying to make every play. And that's when oftentimes things go against you. So that would just be my biggest piece of advice. Just play the game in front of you. Trust what you see. Rip it if it's there. If it's not, pull the ball down, throw it away, and live for another down.
And how excited are you to give that advice? But your son, E.J. Warner, going to be starting for Fresno State, is going to have this year. And how excited are you for him?
Yeah, it's always fun to watch your kids play, and especially, at that level. I'm excited for him going into his senior season. An incredible run, even through some challenges in his college career. And done so many really, really good things that I'm excited to see him back out there. He's a really good player. He sees it really well. He's really accurate. And you're just hoping that the team all comes together and gels and they can have a winning season and they can have their hand at either a conference championship or playing in a bowl game. And then he can kind of finish on a high note from his college career. That's really what, anybody's hoping. Any dad is hoping for their kid. But I enjoy watching him every time I get to see him go between the lines. He's a really, really impressive young man.
Kurt, we always appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much, as always. Have a great week.
You got it, guys. Great to talk to you.
Kurt Warner joining us here on Roc Manuch with Jimmy B, ESPN Radio Phoenix. Always, always great to catch up with him. If you missed it, it's on our YouTube. It's on the Arizona Sports app. It'll be up there on our podcast as well. And today, this segment is courtesy of Wright Toyota. Right on the price, right on selection. Always the right dealership, located right here in Scottsdale and Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard. They have had the right deal for a lot of people for a lot of years. And right now you can check out their full inventory of pre-owned certified vehicles for under $15,000. Everything's online at wrighttoyota.com.